I'm Amy Finley, and this is Across the Fence. Believe it or not, the leaves will start changing soon, and if we're lucky, the weather will start to cool down. But at UVM, the fall semester is heating up. According to the university, UVM welcomed about 2,800 new catamounts this year. Not counted in that statistic? New college deans, like my guest today, Dr. Linda Prokopy, who joins UVM from Indiana's Purdue University, where she was a professor and head of the Department of Horticulture and Landscape Architecture. On July 1st, Dr. Prokopy was appointed Dean of the UVM College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. Since then, she has been digging deep into all things Vermont, UVM, and CALS. As a former CALS faculty, I am honored and excited to have her here with me today. Dr. Prokopy, welcome to Vermont.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I have been doing a little digging into your LinkedIn posts, and it seems like maple and cheese are two big new words in your vocabulary. So first things first, what have you been sampling, and do you have any recommendations?
Sure. Well, I've been all over the state looking at different sugar houses, different production facilities, sampled all types of maple syrup from light to dark, maple candy, maple cream, maple sugar. I think my personal favorite is maple cream.
Okay, so, I do. I think I'm a big fan of that one as well.
Yeah. And then I had the opportunity to go to the Vermont Cheesemakers Festival last weekend out at Shelburne Farms, which was fantastic. I got to sample all types of different cheese, from soft to hard, cheese made with goat's milk, sheep milk, different types of cow's milk, cheese that's cave-aged, cheese that's not cave-aged, and I have no favorites. All good, all good, but the next thing on my list of things to do on the weekends is the Vermont cheese tour. Get out there and taste even more.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, good. Well, then you have definitely sort of been earning your bona fides as a Vermonter. You have dug right into our cheese culture. That's fantastic. Before this big move, had you ever been to Vermont before?
Yeah, I had actually. I was here about 7 years ago for a research project.
Okay.
So I'm a social scientist, and I study what makes or helps farmers adopt conservation practices, and how do we create healthy watersheds. So we were hired by the USDA, Department of Agriculture's Natural Resources Conservation Service, to look at successful watershed projects around the country. And they picked one in Vermont, focused on Lake Champlain. So we came out here, I got to talk to a couple of dairy farmers, have a tour of the watershed, and then run a workshop with folks to talk about all of the great things that they were doing to both improve water quality in Lake Champlain, but also ensure that farms remain viable. So that was my first time in Vermont. And then I was here about 4 years ago, actually on a college tour with my oldest child as a prospective parent. We came on tour at universities in the Northeast, including UVM. So it's really fun now to be on the other side. And I see those tour groups walking around campus all summer, and I think, there I was.
I know, there you were. And at that moment, 4 years ago, did you think at that time that you might be back here?
No, not at all.
No,
not at all. No, but I really liked it. So when this opportunity came up and I saw this posting, it was really great. I had been on campus, and had seen the campus, and even the student prospective tour guides. They do such a great job selling UVM.
They really do.
And all of the great sustainability work going on here, which of course is near and dear to my heart. And so,
those campus tour guides are really one of the big assets that UVM has. It's also wonderful because they give such inside information from the student perspective. They really kind of bring students into our culture right from the very first.
Absolutely.
Well, you're also no stranger to rural states, coming from Indiana and from Purdue University. Talk about your work there, and how did it prepare you to lead CALS?
Sure. So as you know, Purdue is Indiana's land-grant university, just like UVM is Vermont's land-grant university. So I started out 22 years ago at Purdue in the Department of Forestry and Natural Resources, which is in the College of Agriculture at Purdue. And I'm a sort of an interdisciplinary social scientist by training. And I had done a lot of work with water before that. And so I got to Purdue as sort of an aimless assistant professor, not really knowing what I was doing. And I got a phone call in my first year from a professor in agricultural and biological engineering. And she asked me 2 questions. Are you a social scientist? And do you study water? And I said yes and yes. And she invited me to a meeting in Chicago the next week. So I went up there and I met with people like me at other land-grant universities across the Great Lakes region. And that our task was to figure out, how do we work on watershed management? How do we help farmers adopt these conservation practices? And one thing led to another. And for the last 22 years, I've been studying what motivates farmers to adopt conservation practices. And then about 5 years ago, I became the head of the Horticulture and Landscape Architecture Department at at Purdue, which was really just a fantastic opportunity. The folks there were doing amazing research, extension, education, so I learned so much working with them all. But I also learned about horticultural crops, which I think sets me up really well to be dean at UVM, and it's in a state with such a diverse agricultural system.
Absolutely, and also right now, so UVM's focus on for people and the planet centers the interconnectedness of human health and communities and the environment. How do you see CALS continuing to be a leader and supporting Vermonters with issues related to climate resiliency?
So obviously UVM, CALS, Extension has been doing great work in this already. I mean, even just looking at the response to the devastating floods in 2023, 2024, I think shows the model of the type of impact that UVM can have in the community. And I see us doing more of that, right? I would like to see us doing more of that. Climate change is here. It's real, we're feeling it. I think, you know, obviously as a land-grant university, we have 3 missions, teaching, research, and extension. I think it is incumbent upon us to make sure our students understand the science of climate change, but also the tools to help farms, communities adapt to climate change. We have to be out there working with stakeholders, giving them tools that they need, but also listening to them. What are their needs and concerns? What do they need help with? And then bringing that back to campus and doing the research that helps to address those needs and concerns, and really that full 3 missions coming together to help Vermonters adapt.
So speaking of that mission, so you're the dean of CALS, but that also makes you the head of Extension. And Extension is really one of those standard bearers for the land grant mission. The Extension staff are literally out in the field.
Yes,
so
they are.
What are your goals for Extension?
So I love Extension. It's one of the things that attracted me to Purdue 22 years ago. As a faculty member, I had what we call a 3-way appointment. So I did teaching, research, and extension. And my goals for extension are really keep doing what we're doing, because we're doing great work. But obviously also to be adaptive, nimble. Issues are going to change, right? We need to make sure we're on the forefront of that, meeting communities' needs. One of the things we've been talking about is doing a community needs assessment. So making sure that we're addressing the needs of rural and urban Vermonters, school-age children, adults, farm owners, farm workers, the full gamut of folks in Vermont. So we're going to be trying to better understand those needs, which we understand a lot already, of course. As you said, our extension folks are in the field, right? They know what's going on, but making sure we're not missing audiences, missing issues, so we make sure we keep addressing all of the salient needs that people have.
Right, okay. So you are the parent of college-age children, college-age child. I too, my daughter is a CALS student as well. She is an animal science major. How are you thinking about CALS undergrads and the education that they are receiving? What are your priorities for our undergrads?
Yeah, well, first, I love that your child is in CALS. And animal sciences, as you know, is our most popular department and major, which makes sense in a state so well known for its dairy and with the programming that we have in animal sciences. The new president of UVM, Dr. Marlene Trump, one of her goals for UVM is that we make sure our students are career ready. And I couldn't agree more. I think that's absolutely what we need to be doing. But the challenge there is what will careers look like? Right? What careers will look like in today's incoming class, the careers that will be available to them in 4 years aren't going to look like they look today, 5 years ago, right? AI is rapidly changing the landscape of what jobs look like. So I think as faculty, as a university, as CALS, we need to be making sure, obviously, that our students understand the pros and cons of artificial intelligence, but also that they know how to think critically. They know how to see systems, right? They know how to see like how different things work together. They need to be able to cross interdisciplinary boundaries with their work, right? So I think it's really, really, maybe increasingly important, right? That we really help students learn to think. I was in a presidential leadership retreat earlier this week with other leaders across the university, and my colleague, Dr. Peter Newman, who is the dean of the Rubenstein School, he said, we need to be teaching students how to ask the questions that will change the world. I love that. How do we get students to learn how to ask the questions that will change the world?
Well, and so then that makes me think about all of the experiential learning, which is something that CALS has always had a real advantage with. We have the Morgan Horse Barn where you just were. We have the Cream Barn. We have the Foods Lab. We have all of these opportunities for students to do hands-on discovery, to connect with the material in these very different ways. Can you talk a little bit about CAL's ongoing commitment to hands-on experiential learning?
Absolutely, that's front and center, and will absolutely remain a commitment for CALS. As you mentioned yourself, hands-on is so important. Most people learn better getting their hands in things, right?
Yeah,
so,
because it comes to life. Yesterday,
absolutely.
a couple days ago, I had a chance, I was taught how to plant a tree. And by planting the tree,
you learned.
I learned.
Exactly. So when I did my interview here back in, I think it was February or March, I saw the inside of conference rooms. So when the provost called to offer me the job, I said, well, I really need a second visit because I need to see things, right? You can't be dean of a college like CALS and not see facilities, right? And so I came back and I had this amazing whirlwind 2 days where I got to see so many of the different farms, the labs, and I got to see students learning. So I went into a molecular genetics lab and saw an undergraduate student next to a graduate student learning how to do research. You saw students in computer labs learning how to do graphic design, saw students in the plant biology teaching labs looking through microscopes, understanding how plant cells work. I got to go out to the farm and see the cream program in action, saw students milking cows. I suppose you could milk a farm, I don't know how that would work. And then this summer again, the same thing, went out to Proctor Maple Research Farm and saw student interns. We have student interns working with extension, right? We have, it's just an amazing opportunity, and so many opportunities for hands-on education.
Yeah, and you mentioned graduate students, so I also am an alum of the Food Systems program in CALS as well. Graduate education, so right now we're in a tough time, a challenging time with funding. And funding really comes to bear when you're talking about graduate education. So can you talk a little bit about those grad students in CALS and grad programs and what we're going to do?
Yeah, sure. So, well, one of the university goals is to continue to grow our graduate programs, and I totally agree with that. I think CALS needs to do that. What we are doing at UVM is so important and so special. It's really incumbent upon us to be training that next generation of scientists, policymakers, decision makers, with what we have to offer, right? So we'll keep doing that work. We have to figure out how to fund it, right? As you said, the federal funding landscape is challenging right now, and most of our students are funded with federal grant money, but we'll work on that. We'll try to work with industry, private foundations, other groups, make sure we can continue to support students and bring them here and have them go out and change the world.
Okay. Well, Dr. Prokopy, it has been an absolute privilege to have you here today and to be able to get one of the first opportunities to hear about your vision for CALS and the ongoing relationship that you are building with CALS and the university. We're so excited to have you here today. Thank you, Vermont. Thank you for learning and exploring with me today, and thanks to the team that makes our program possible. I'm Amy Finley. This is Across the Fence. Come back and let's learn and explore again tomorrow.